We're always hearing about what to eat for a healthier body, right? But what about our most complex, most energy-hungry organ, the brain? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the new rules for feeding your mind, and we're drawing on some really fascinating insights from neurobiology and psychiatry.
But first, let's just start with a question to kind of frame this whole conversation. What if the single most important ingredient for building a sharp, resilient brain
was the exact thing that for decades we've been told is the bad guy? It sounds a little backward, I know, but stick with me, because it's actually central to understanding how our brains are meant to work.
So to figure out how to feed the brain, you've got to know what it's made of. And it turns out, if you take out all the water, our brain is by far our fattiest organ. Neurobiologist Andrew Huberman makes a really key distinction here. This is not the storage fat we're trying to burn off at the gym. This is structural fat. So, things like omega-3s, phospholipids, and yep, even cholesterol are the literal bricks and mortar. They're what build our brain cells and let them talk to each other at unbelievable speeds.
And this quote from Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Georgia E. just nails it. She puts it so bluntly, we are made of this stuff. It's not just something we eat, it's what we are. In fact, the brain is so dependent on cholesterol that it makes its own. And if you mess with that process, well, that's when you can run into serious trouble.
Okay, let's zoom in even deeper, right down to the cellular level. Your brain cells have these tiny little power plants inside them called mitochondria. And guess what their protective walls are made of? Fats and cholesterol. When those walls get damaged, it's kind of like having a leaky battery. The energy just drains out. But certain fats can come in like a repair crew, patching up that membrane and getting the power plant back to full capacity.
Now, this brings up a really critical point. If the brain has to make its own cholesterol to function, what happens when something gets in the way? Well, Dr. Este explains this really clear cause and effect chain. Statin medications, which are designed to lower cholesterol, can actually cross into the brain and shut down that essential production line. And she's seen it in her own patients. It can lead to brain fog, memory trouble, and just not feeling sharp.
Okay, so if fats are the building blocks, what about the fuel? What's the high-octane stuff we need to put in the tank for peak mental performance?
Andrew Huberman lays out this awesome list of compounds that are like rocket fuel for your brain. You've got choline, which you find in egg yolks, and it's absolutely vital for making the neurotransmitter for focus. Creatine isn't just for bodybuilders. It actually fuels the mood and motivation circuits in your brain. Phosphatidylserine is a direct helper for your neurons. And then there's glutamine, which can actually help you fight off sugar cravings through signals from your gut.
And you know, when it comes to creatine, the science is really specific. Peer-reviewed studies are pointing to 5 grams a day of creatine monohydrate. That seems to be the sweet spot for getting those cognitive benefits, like giving those mood-regulating circuits in your brain a real boost.
But you know, fueling your brain isn't just about what you add to your diet. It's also really, really important to think about what you avoid. And this brings us to what Dr. Ide calls the wrong carbs.
So here's the deal. When you have a breakfast that's packed with refined carbs, like cereal or a bagel, you get this huge wave of glucose hitting your brain. And Dr. Ida explains that this extra glucose literally gets sticky. It gloms onto important proteins and fats, creating these dysfunctional, gummy messes that are known to make the brain age faster. Just let that sink in for a second. This quote from Dr. Ide it's just staggering. A single meal choice can kick off this massive chain reaction, creating inflammation and stress that throws your brain's delicate chemistry totally out of whack, and all because we might have been told the wrong thing about what a healthy breakfast is supposed to be.
So what we're seeing here is this really interesting battle going on. Brain health isn't just about good foods and bad foods. It's more like a constant balancing act between things that protect our brain and things that try to sabotage it.
So on one side, you've got the protectors. Andrew Huberman talks about things like anthocyanins and berries, which seem to be great for brain function. And of course, our own bodies have these amazing, powerful defense systems already built in. But then you have the saboteurs. Dr. Edevy's bowls in a china shop analogy for glucose spikes is just perfect. It's pure chaos. And she raises this other really interesting point. Maybe some of those popular plant compounds we hear about aren't protectors themselves, but more like irritants that just kick our own defenses into high gear.
And this leads to a really profound shift in how we think about all this. Dr. Ide captures it perfectly here. Maybe the best strategy isn't chasing the next superfood supplement. Maybe the real power move is subtraction, just taking away the foods that are causing the damage to begin with. Then you just let your body's own amazing defense system do its job.
Now, I know this might all sound a little intense, but here is the most empowering piece of this entire puzzle. The science says you, yes you, have the power to actually change what your brain craves.
Andrew Huberman explains that our food preferences are shaped through 3 different channels. The first one's obvious, right? It's taste and texture. But the second one is incredible. You have specialized neurons in your gut that are subconsciously sensing the nutrients in your food, the good fats, the amino acids, and they send these little reward pings up to your brain. Then your brain learns to connect a certain taste with that good feeling, and bam, you formed a belief about what food you like.
And that belief is way more powerful than you might think. This is so wild. A famous study had people drink the exact same milkshake, but they told one group it was a super indulgent high-calorie treat, and they told the other group it was a sensible, healthy choice. Get this, their bodies had completely different physiological responses. Their hormones, their blood sugar levels, everything changed based simply on what they believed they were drinking. Your mindset literally changes how your body uses food.
So the takeaway here is just incredible. Your brain isn't fixed. It can actually learn to crave the very foods that build it up and protect it. You can rewire your own preferences. And that leaves us with one final thought, a question for you. Knowing that you have this power to teach your brain to love what's good for it, what's the first thing you're going to try?